Hello everyone. This is the fifth part in the SAP Test Automation series. So far we have covered success factor and Fury automation. So, moving forward to SAP Test Automation, what is SAP and what is test automation? So, let's jump into the next slide. Hello, my name is Labi Bandal and I'm a test automation developer at the Silicon Partners. And here is my LinkedIn profile. So you can reach out to me in case you have any doubt after the session, or you can feel free to reach out to me if we can discuss anything about test automation. Meet my fellow speaker, Shreya Tiwari.
Thank you, Lavi. Hello, everyone. My name is Shreya Tiwari, and I'm RPA developer in the Silicon Partners. Feel free to reach me out in the link. It will be pasted in the chat as well. Thank you.
Moving forward. This is the agenda which we are going to cover in this webinar. So the first one is what is SAP and what is SAP test automation looks like, and the second pointer will be test automation and what are the components that involve in test automation. Third one is how we can automate with the help of UiPath. So this will be covering test automation with UiPath. After that, what are the best practices that we have to ensure for a successful test automation? And fifth one is the live demo. Before jumping to the session, I want to share that this will be going to a end-to-end integration webinar. So you will be covering each of the aspect, what is SAP, what is test automation, and what is the testing, and what are the components that we usually see in test automation, and then how we can achieve with the help of UiPath test automation, and followed by the live demo. So just going forward with the next slide. So what is SAP? So as maybe some of you will be aware of what is SAP, and please reach out in the comment if you have any idea about SAP, or do you have you any attended automated any test automation flow so far. You can just write yes or no, whatever. So we will get to know that how many are aware of these terms, or is this new to everyone. With the SAP, so SAP is a enterprise resource planning software. It is widely used by business enterprises. The main goal of SAP is to centralize the data so that each business user can easily interact or share their data with ease, and it will uh, effectively reduce their time, and also it will they can also assure overall efficiency with the help of that. Going forward to the what is SAP test automation. So we all know that uh, so for SAP test automation, you must know what is test automation. So in this that I'm going to explain in the further slides. So just give you a simple or short definition that you can automate any part of the SAP. Maybe it is a application or a web browser thing, or a module or a functionality, whichever you want to automate. So you can easily automate with the UiPath, or there are various other tool also available, so you can use that also. So moving forward, for the SAP test automation, the main thing is what is test automation. Some of you are not aware of what is test automation. So just let's get into a dive and let's understand what is test automation. So moving further, this this is the automation and its components, right? So firstly, to know test automation, you should know what is testing. Why do we do testing? So there are two types of testing generally we have. The first one is a manual testing and second one is a automation testing. And with the help of UiPath, give you a leverage that you can automate your test script with the help of UiPath and also can avail in your systems. So basically, testing is that you suppose you have a functionality and you want to verify it or validate it, that for this, that the suppose you have any product and you want to check it's working, that it is working as per the customer requirement, or it is fulfilling the customer expectations, or it is behaving as just like as it is documented in the earlier. So for all these steps, we are going to cover in the testing phase. So there you can see cycle over here, automated life cycle testing. So it has 6 steps. So just go one by one, and I will explain you very that you can easily understand that what is testing and what are the all these steps that are in this. So the first one is decision to automate testing. So here we have to decide which module or which functionality we want to automate. Suppose you have a create sales order and you want to automate that. So in this particular step, you have to taken into consideration that I'm going to automate create sales order of SAP. Going further, that what is the test tool acquisition, what tool you are using. So in this case, I am using UiPath. So the step 2 is done here. And after that, what are the testing introduction process? So if you have selected any module or a functionality, so maybe this module have to we have to divide this functionality or module into different sections, maybe into different task cases. So we have to keep this into consideration in the third step. Further on, when each and everything is decided that we are going to automate this part and certain people are going to automate this part, so after that this will go jump into the fourth step. So in this step, we will going to develop all the test cases that are needed for this create sales order functionality. So we will be we will plan, design and develop all these test cases. So when the development is completed, we will do testing at this end also. And final, when the test cases are ready, we will deploy them to the orchestrator or any other tool you have. So here they run and you can see the execution result. So in the fifth step, execution and management of tests, you are able to see the test execution. What are the test cases you have, what are the ratio of the test cases passing or failing, or you can able to see a report and you can generate that report also. And UiPath also has a good feature that it will download it a report, so you can easily look into this. And after that, we will go to the 6 point test program review and assessment. So here we can group together and easily can with the help of our team lead or anything, we can see that what are the changes we have to done in our test cases that are failing, and what are the major or what are the best practices we can evolve, so that we can uh, uh, going to further that the functionality is working properly or not, so we can validate in this step. So this is the whole cycle of the test automation. So going further, so we can there are two different platforms of SAP, that as SAP GUI and SAP Fury. So basically SAP Fury is a web browser based application that we can automate with the help of UiPath, and SAP GUI is a desktop based application that also we can automate with the help of UiPath. So many of the test cases are many of the testing tools I have found that they have only capability to they only have capability to test only SAP GUI, but SAP GUI or a desktop based application. but many of UiPath is one of them. It has both the capability that it can uh, easily automate text of application versus a web based application. So in order to achieve this, we must have testing in your orchestrator cloud. So going forward, I am going to give you a view that how you can enable testing in your orchestrator if it is not enabled. So going further, so these are the steps that we have to enable testing in your uh, orchestrator. So you just have to click on the 9 dots that is in the orchestrator. So when you click on the these 9 dot, pop-up box will come, and you have to just click on admin. When you click on admin button, then you are able to see organization over there. So you just have to click on that organization. After that, click on organization, a page will be open. So you have to click licenses from here. So just click on that licenses button. So when you click on licenses button, there are another screen will open up. So you have to just scroll down a little bit to that screen, and you have to click on allocate license. So when you click on allocate license, so you are able to see this type of a pop-up box, and you have to provide the email ID and select a license. Whether you can select both automation developer or tester, both will work fine and both will enable your testing. In my case, I have selected tester, and so when you click on tester, you can easily see testing in your orchestrator. And the one thing which we have to consider, that the name which we are going to provide in this text box, it should be registered in this particular organization. Suppose my organization name is TSPI. So this user must be this email ID I'm going to enter in this name should be enabled in this. So when you enter this, you are able to see testing in your orchestrator. So let me give you a quick view how uh, this will look like in the real cloud orchestrator. So as you can see, this is my orchestrator. Okay, so let me share my orchestrator with you. So hope it is visible to you. Okay, so as you can see, there is the orchestrator, and there are so many tabs here. So let me just the link. Let me just give you how you can enable the testing from the orchestrator. So you just have to click on this 9 dots. After that, you can see admin over here. So in the admin, just click on the organization and click on the licenses part. So you can see a window like this. So you just have to scroll down a little bit, and you can see license allocation to users. So here you can see, and if as I told you in the describe you in the slides, you just have to click on allocate license. Just provide your name and give a automation developer or a tester license, and just click on a save. So in this way, testing will be enabled in your orchestrator. So when testing comes in your orchestrator, so there are the some components that you can see: test set, test case, test execution, schedule, and test data queue. So we will go one by one. So what are the test cases? Test case is kind of a functionality that suppose we have a login page, and it has username and a password and a register button. So suppose there are so many test cases can be formed with this scenario. Maybe username is incorrect and password is correct, and you try to log in into the system. Second scenario must be that both inputs you are giving, username or password, are incorrect and you are trying to log into the system. Third, maybe username is correct and password is not in an appropriate manner that it should be. It is not numeric and you trying to get into the system. So these type of test cases, a similar type of functionality of test cases can be bunch into or group into a single functionality, just like login will be the functionality here. So test set will be your login, and each scenario you have is a test case. So test set is basically a group of test cases that you are going to perform, or that have same functionality. And so you can see here that we have uh, two or three test set here, and if I go here, then you can able to see these are test cases here. And after that, if I go to text execution, so you here you can see that when we try to run these test set or test cases, what result we are getting. So if you click on these three dots, you are able to see details. And in this case, this test case is fail. So we can see the assertion or logs also, key what is the reason why this test case is failing. And we can also see the assertion that in which step this test case is failing. So from here also, from the logs, we are also able to know that this is the main reason that why this test case is failing. So we can correct that and rerun that particular test cases. So this is the we cover in the test execution. After that, test schedule. So for test schedule, we can click on the add test schedule button. And so this is the kind of a forms looks like. And what is the test schedule? Why we use that? Suppose we have a deployment every Friday, and we want to check whether our test cases are running or failing before the deployment. So suppose I schedule a test run or test schedule on the Thursday night. So in the morning, Friday morning, I'm able to see what are the test cases are failing or passing. I can correct that, or maybe. So this is the scheduling part. So we can schedule our case accordingly, and we will get the result. So there is no manual intervention needed. So it is will automatically handled by the orchestrator on the unattended mode. And last one is the test data queue. What is the test data queue? So if you are having any test case, so probably need data for that. Suppose if I have having a create sales order, so I need what is the tile name, what is the company code, and other amount or other anything we know it. So we can just provide data in the form of CSV file, and we can upload it here. So whenever our test case is executing, it takes data from here, and it will successfully run. And you can also let me edit this one, so you can able to see that. And the main thing is that it takes data in the JSON format, key value pair. So you have to provide a particular JSON format to enter data here. So this is the test data queue. So after that, what the apart from the orchestrator, we have test manager. So what we can do if test manager is not enabled in your system. So in my case, test manager, you can easily view test manager here. But in some of the scenarios when test manager is not viewable here, so these are the steps. So you just have to click on the admin, and after that you have to click on the default tenant, whatever tenant you have. In my case, I have default tenant, and you just have to click on that services. And if you scroll down a little bit, you are able to see test manager here. And in my case, it is enabled, so it is showing in a white background. But if it is not enabled, it is showing in this gray background. So you just have to click on this button, and you have to enable it. So when you enable this one, you are able to see test manager. So let me give you a dive into test manager. What is, because test manager is the most important part of the SAP test automation. And whatever testing automation we have done in UiPath, the test manager is the main part. So let me give you what are the components we have in test manager and how it works. So this is the mm, mm, interface of test manager. So as you can see, here are three test project we already have. Suppose if you want to create your, so you just have to click on this create task set, create new project, and when you click on this one button, you have to enter a meaningful project name, and you have to provide prefix to that. And after that you have to add description, whatever description you want to give. So after providing description, just you have to click on create, so you are able to see your test project here. So I will explain you my SAP test automation project. So this is the dashboard looks like. So basically it has 5 to 6 tabs. So the first one is dashboard. In dashboard, what we are the test cases that we have in this particular project, and what are the failure or success rate of the test cases we are able to see. So as you can see, in the September 6th we have only one past test cases, in September 8th we have four past test cases and two failed. So it's just give you an overview, so by which you can understand that what is the condition of your test automation project, how many of them are failing or how many of them are passing. After that, click on the second one is the requirement. So you can see here are the requirements, so you can specify your requirement as per your project, and later down this requirement can be divided into test cases of your need. So we can divide. So if you want to create a new requirement, you just need to click on this create a requirement, and you can create a new requirement. And after that, test cases. So whatever task cases you want to link to that requirement, you can create here. There is a button that can create task case, so you can create from here also. After that, test set. So we will divide the test cases as per their functionality and group them into a test set. So whenever we execute a test set, the whole 2 or 3 or 5 test cases, whatever are linking to that particular test set, run automatically. To execute them, you just have to click on this three dots and click on executed automated. So if you click on execute automated, it will start the execution. And after that, when the execution completed, you can see the test result. So for the test result, you have to click on this one, a test result, uh, and you are able to see the results here, and you can also see the logs or assertion that we have seen in the orchestrator itself. So the main difference we in the orchestrator or test manager, orchestrator also give you insight, give you a execution log or assertion, but it do not provide you insight, but test manager provide you insight. So if you want to view the report of your test execution, you have to select like this, or you can generate the insight. So let me give you the insight that I have already created. So this is the insight report, and when you click on this, so it is will give you a overview that how many test cases you have, and how many test cases are failing, or top failing test cases are, it will give you a give, and it will also give you what are the common errors in top failing test set and error pattern. And also it also gives you a recommendation. So by viewing this inside, you can work on your test cases, and can change their functionality, or the reason why which are failing. So this is kind of a meaningful thing, because you do not have to go to each execution result one by one and I have to check for that. So you can view from here also. So after that, clicking on this last tab, that is the project settings. So this provide uh, so from here you can integrate your test manager with different ALM tools like Azure DevOps or Jira. So just click, you have to click on this integration part, and you have to just click on new connection, and you can select, you can see there are so many tools already are here, so you can integrate. In this demo, we have integrated with the Jira. So you can see that we can directly create a bug from the Jira for the test cases which is failing. Okay, so let me just go back to the presentation. Is it visible? Okay, so this is the test manager and its components. So I have covered all the aspects or all the components of its test manager. And so if you have any query till now, so you can directly ask on the chat box. We are happy to help. And after that, test automation with UiPath. So this is the kind of a diagram. So with the help of that, we can easily understand what we are going to demonstrate in this webinar. So let me give you a brief that how you can achieve integration, or how the working of test manager and orchestrator works. So firstly, you have a test automation project in your UiPath Studio. So from here you create your test case, and when you create your test case, uh, as we all know, we work in, if you are working in any organization, you need your code to be on the cloud. So for that you need Git or any other tool, whatever you want to. So in this picture we can see, if I created my test case, I can push that data to the Git. And after that, pushing that to Git, we can also configure as your DevOps pipeline. Uh, we are not demonstrating this in this video, but you can also use the CI/CD pipeline. So whenever your test cases pushes to the Git, that pipeline got triggered, and your CI/CD pipeline will integrate and it will perform. So in this, in our scenario, when we create a test case, we will link that to the test manager, uh, whatever the test case is, and whatever the test case we have created in the test manager with the help of UiPath Studio and linking. And after that, we will publish that. So when we publish that particular test project, it will go to the orchestrator. So what we have to do here in the orchestrator, we have to create a test set, and we have to link that test set to the test manager, because test manager do not UiPath test manager from now do not have a capability to run test cases. So we need orchestrator for that. So when you created your test set here, orchestrator, you have to link that to the test manager. And when the linking is done, you can execute your test cases from the test manager. You can see the arrow is bi-directional. So when you initiate execution from your test manager, the orchestrator run your module or a functionality or a test cases is. So in this after that, UiPath robots come into the picture, because they are the one that running your test cases in whatever uh, tool you are using. You are using SAP, Oracle, or Salesforce, whatever you are using. So they will automate your flow here. And after that, when the results complete, it will come back to the orchestrator, and from the orchestrator it will come back to the UiPath test manager. So you can view your execution result here. And suppose I have 4 or 5 test cases, and one of them is failing. So what can I do from the when I go to the result part of the test manager? I just click on that particular test case, and I create the defect from the test manager, and it will reflect to the Jira. So we are going to demonstrate this integration with Jira part in our webinar also. So this is the whole process looks like, how your test from the end to end, how you created our test automation project in UiPath Studio, and later on you can create a bug on Jira. So this is the end to end process. So moving forward to the next slide. So test automation with UiPath Studio. So uh, Shreya will be covering this part. Over to you, Shreya.
Thank you, Lavi. Let me share my screen real quick. I hope my screen is visible. So, test automation with UiPath Studio. So, we are automating test automation using a particular template that has been introduced by UiPath. It is a test automation framework. Like any other framework, it has all the exception handling, logging, and all the capabilities that like any other template, but this is specified to test automation, which is also recommended in the best practices that test automation framework should be the one to be used. Now, moving ahead, how we can get this template, let me show it to you through Studio. Okay, so first in Studio, we need to go to Home. So in Home itself, you can see New From Template and you'll be able to find it here in the template. If you're not able to find it here, you can go to More Templates and search it. So that's how we can find this template. So let's get back to the slide. So once we download this template, all we need to do is, so what this test framework consists of, like any template, it has a separate different structure. It comprises of setup, test case placeholder, and tear down. So setup. As the name itself suggests, setup is basically recommended to use to get the data, be it from assets or to prepare the test data if we are reading it through the Excel. And it reads the configuration file. And if we are doing a web automation, we can, log in or load our browsers. And if we are doing any application automation, then we can simply log into that application. So this is what setup comprises of. And the test case placeholder is the second part in which basically there is an execution timeout activity in which a placeholder is placed. So this is something that comes at the time of execution. So we are not supposed to invoke our test cases within the placeholder or anything. If we use this execution template within the test case, so while the execution, it will automatically invoke the test case by itself. This is something that we'll see further while we run the demo. Okay, so moving ahead, we have tear down. So tear down part is basically responsible for closing the browsers, logging off the applications, preparing the reports. Like in our case, we are fetching all these screenshots from the SAP and preparing a Word document out of it and attaching it to the test case itself. So this is what tear down is responsible for. Let's go to the studio and have a look how the test framework actually looks like. So this is our test framework. This is the setup part. It also mentions everything in the annotation itself. So moving ahead, this is what the test case placeholder looks like. So it comes within the core activities. It doesn't need to be downloaded, and this is one of the activities that can only be used in the execution template itself. So moving ahead, this is the tear down. All right, let's get back to the slide. So before we jump onto the live demo, let's go through the best practices. So test automation framework is definitely one of the implemented stable and scalable automation template, which is recommended by UiPath to be used in case of testing. And they also recommend that each test case should be independent. One should not be dependent on the other one. Also suggesting that each test case should be able to handle their own exceptions, right? And moving on, so each test case flow should contain only one verification. Of course, these are the things that can be tailored as per the requirement, but this is something what is suggested by the UiPath itself. So moving ahead, a test case template basically comprises of sequence: given, when, and then. So whenever we create a new test case, these are empty sequences which are suggested. Given is responsible to loading your very first screen in which we have to do the automation from where we have to take the automation further. And when has the basic core steps of the functionality, and then is responsible to hold the verification part specifically. So in case any of these sequence is getting too extensive or it's a bit complicated and unmanageable, in that case, it is recommended that we move to a much smarter way of automating it. For example, in our case, we had a number of steps that were automated within the SAP GUI. So what we did was we completed that part in the workflow and simply invoked that workflow within the when part. So that's how it is suggested to do. And also, it is also recommended to use CI/CD pipeline. Also, the selectors that we are using should be in the object repository, and libraries are suggested to be used. The library is a couple of like chunk of the test case or the steps of the test case that are particularly being used again and again can be automated within the library. So, for example, login part. If there are three developers working on the same project and they have to deal with the same application, so login is something that would be same in all their parts, right? So this can be created in the library itself and it can be invoked at any given time, right? And the selectors are suggested to be on object repository. So object repository basically saves the selector in a way that it is accessible throughout the project itself. They can also be imported or exported to different projects if required. So if I need to make any change within the selector, I can make that change in one activity. And if it is added in the object repository, it will be reflected within all everywhere where that activity is being used, so throughout the workflow. So moving on, so these are also not specific to test automation, but also for the entire automation. These best practices are recommended. So we need to have retry scopes. We need to do the exception handling and logging in the right way so that we can, be able to track the bot and understand where the exception is coming. Also track the progress itself, and the activity names are suggested to be in a way where you can define the action of that particular activity. In case you're not able to name it in a way, we have annotations to explain the process further, right? This is something we have already, implemented in our code. And I'll also show that to you. Moving ahead, we are not supposed to use hard-coded delays, which it is not a recommended way. How we can avoid using hard-coded delays is something also we have added within our code. And moving ahead, all the type pintos and clicks are supposed to be simulate type. And in case simulate is not working for any activity, we can also use Windows message. So also the test case, we should not remove or delete any test case, but there is also an option where we can import the test case from any other project. So this is something which is recommended with the best practice. Moving ahead, let's go to live demo. Let me go to the studio. All right, so we have seen how we can download this template. Let me show you what this template comes with. So these are all the activities, all the packages that were already the part of the template. I didn't have to download any of this separately. And also the data folder, it consists of a JSON file that is specifically recommended to be used for assets. So we do not have a config file in this one. And we are specifically, moving forward, you'll see we are not using a config file. In fact, we are using JSON, and also we are using constants in the data manager part to maintain our constants variable. And we are maintaining and getting assets using this JSON file. So we have automated basically two of the test cases. One is create sales order and the other one is create outbound delivery. So these are both part of order to cash process in sales and distribution module of SAP. So this is how the first test case looks like. It has the given, when, and the then sequence, as explained earlier. So the given one, basically, it gets data from the queue and it calls in the transaction via 01. So it will take us to that particular page, and whatever function we need to perform are mentioned here within the when. So I have invoked the workflow that comprises of all the steps that are needed to be performed in particularly create sales order. And in the then part, I have this verification. So this verification, there are different type of verification that can be used. I'm using verify expression with operator. I can also, so we have, these are all the options that are available. We can use verify control attribute, verify expression, and verify in range. So control attribute allows you to invoke any one of the activity and use it to compare to get your exact result. You can drop the activity. Let's say I want to drop get text and I want to figure out if the text that has been taken from the screen is equal to some message. For example, if I use it right now, I can use to take it anything like live demo from the PPT itself, right? And I can compare it here if it is containing of that particular text, and its result can be stored in the result output. So this is one of the verify activities. When we have is verify expression. It's a simple activity where you can write in your expression or simply pass a Boolean result to get your output. And verify expression with operator is something we are using. In this, you can use a comparison box in which you'll have your first expression, the one you want to use it to compare with. You can use the operator. It can have equality, inequality. If it is an integer type value which you want to, compare, and minus string. So I'm checking if it contains a specific term which is saved. Then only it will be considered as passed. So all the activities are different, but the only thing that is similar is the properties part. So it will have a alternative verification tile. So alternative verification tile and output message format are something that will be reflected within the test manager itself and also in the orchestrator. So whatever message we put in will be visible there as well. And I'll show you how this can be done. Output message format can be specifically used to follow a same approach throughout your test automation project. This is something that can be followed in all of the test cases. So we'll go ahead and have a look at how it looks like in the orchestrator as well. Let me run this automation first. So the very first one I'm running is create sales order. Also, I have added in breakpoints in between so that I can, explain it while it runs. So it will go into init all set assets, and it will read the JSON file and then deserialize it and then check if any of the JSON asset values are empty. If not, it will assign it back to the dictionary. And that dictionary variable argument is being passed throughout the workflow. So right now it has fetched the SAP credentials and all the asset values, connection and everything. It has logged in successfully. Now it will put in the transaction, which is specifically for create sales order. Now here on the screen, it will put in the order type and move further. It clicked on enter. For better understanding, highlighting element has also been turned on. So we'll put in sold to party data and then customer reference date, followed by the line item values, material and order quantity. Yeah. So it will check for sales area. It will select the sales organization. In this case, it's 1710. We'll hit enter and moving ahead. It will go into the material itself, update the order to quantity, and then it will check for schedule lines. It will fetch the delivery date from here, which will be used further. Now it will go into the condition tab and update the amount. So as you can see, the amount has been updated. Once it's saved, it will create our sales order. So the sales order has now been generated. So at the end, once it's able to perform all these steps, it will create the Word document file and also it will upload the same. All right. So it came down to tear down part. So I have added a breakpoint because I wanted to show what all things we have added in the tear down. Let's go ahead. So it consists of create final document sequence wherein we are fetching each of the screenshot that were saved in the screenshots folder. This is this is the screenshot folder. It will fetch in all the screenshots and then make a Word document, consolidated one, and then upload it finally to the test case. Since we are running it through the studio, this activity won't be working. But it is basically designed in a way when the bot runs in unattended mode, it will automatically fetch the report and upload it into the test automation itself. So let's continue. As you can see, we have the test case has passed successfully, and it also showing the order number and along with the test data queue item that have been added. Okay. So it will also at the end, we are deleting the screenshot folder and the output folder itself. So before we delete it, let's go ahead into the project folder and see how it looks like. These are all the screenshots that were captured during the automation. We are creating this folder and deleting it at the end every time. So let's go to the document that it just prepared. It will be in the output folder. This is how the output file looks like. So it will not only append the images, but also take the name of the file and paste the name. So it's much more clear that way. So it has entered the data successfully, fetched the delivery date, entered in the material values and sold to party value. Now the same document would be uploaded in the test cases itself. From this end to end. All right. This was create sales order. Let's go ahead and run the same for create outbound delivery. It will also fetch the details, and then we'll go to test manager and have a look how the execution actually looks like. So once the execution is complete, I also would like to show you what a generated test case file looks like and what it does. Let me show it to you now. Okay. So this is something which is only created at the time of execution. So generated create sales order was generated at the time we were testing this particular test case. So as you can see, it is exactly same as the test framework that we were using. The only difference is the test case framework had a test case placeholder, but this generated file has the test case invoked itself. So we do not need to invoke it. All we need to do is while creating the test case, we need to right click and set the execution template. Once we select the execution template, we'll be able to see exactly this framework working in this way. Also, we do not need to map in the assets. Uh, create the if we create the arguments with the same name that are present in the framework, it will fetch in the data automatically as soon as it is invoked. So I did not invoke my workflow anywhere, the test case, but I only created an argument with the name of assets. And there was this one variable available within the framework with the name assets. So it mapped it automatically at the time of execution. So let's continue this automation. Going ahead. It's reading all the assets. Okay, and it will kill the SAP in the background if it is running, and then it will log in back again. So it will put in the details which are required. In this case, it is shipping point. It will update the date. It's fetching all the data from the queue, and it will upload the sales order that was just created. And then it will hit enter and click on save. Also, it will update the picked quantity. Yep. And now the create outbound delivery has been completed. So it has created a delivery as well. Okay, so in this case, we have used simply verify expression and have put in the condition wherein we are checking if the fetched message is empty or not. So since it was not empty and it had this message, it simply approved it to be as true. And I'll go ahead and continue this one. Okay, so it has the same tear down process. We already went through this. Okay, so it will delete the screenshot folder and delete the output folder at the end. All right. So once we download the test automation template and design the test cases as per our requirement, what we need to do is we need to set up a connection to the test manager itself. For that, we need to go to test manager setting and put in the link of the test manager and hit on connect. So mine is connected right now. And also the individual test case need to be linked to the test case in the orchestrator. So it has a separate link. Since this one is already connected, it's asking you to link or unlink. Let me show it from here. So for example, this is one sample that I have kept. We can click on set execution template and select the template that we desire. This is test automation framework. Then we can simply mark it as publishable. And if you want to link it to the test manager, we can also go from here, link it to the test manager, and it will give you the option. So the project that Lavi already demonstrated was available on the cloud. This is the name of the project. It will fetch in the details. Also, you can put in the name of the test case or the ID. So I can link it to all of these test cases that are already available there in the cloud. Now let's go to the cloud. So this is how the orchestrator looks like. I have first published the test cases from here, and then I created the test set within the orchestrator. I can select this one or more than one, and then hit on add test set. It will ask me the name and simply will let me create the test set, right? Then what we did is we went to test manager and simply linked those test cases here. So it will fetch in all the details from the orchestrator itself. So this is how we created it. Let me show you the results when we ran. So in order to show different results, we ran the couple of test cases in successful manner, also one with a failed result, because we also wanted to cover the defects part. So the output file that I just demonstrated would be attached within here in the test execution. Let's see what all test result contains. So the verification activity also captures the screenshot. This verification activity had this property. If you want to take screenshot if the activity failed or passed. So I logged it on true for both of these. So this is what happened. So it captured the screenshot, the final screenshot where the standard order was created. This is the verification tile name reflecting in the assertion itself. And this is the output message format coming here. So we can set this across our test automation project. So these are the execution logs. These are the same logs that are also visible in the orchestrator. Also moving ahead, execution details will have the name of the framework you are using and your machine details. So this is the same output file that has been uploaded, and we can download it and view it from here. So let's go to a failed result. All right. So in this case, it will also capture the screenshot. In this case, it will also capture the screenshot in case it is failing because I have turned that property setting on, right? So it captured test exception has been occurred and queue item was empty. This was the reason of the failure, right? It will show the logs and also the attachment for the same, right? Also, once a test case fails, we get this option to create a defect. This project is already connected to a Jira, as already mentioned before. So if I'll go into the test case results, I can simply create a defect for the same. It will give me option to create a defect. Since I've already created a defect, it's asking me to unlink the defect. What I can simply do is we can also go to its results and view the link itself. This is TA defect. If I click here, it will automatically take me to the Jira session where this defect was uploaded. So it will fetch in the name of the test case, and with its result, it failed, and also fetch in the logs for the same. So this is how it works overall, and that's all we had for the demo. Moving ahead for the slide. Do we have any questions? I think the queries have been answered in the chat itself. Thank you, Ramesh. So if we have any further questions, please feel free to ask or put it in the chat maybe. If not, then maybe we are good. Thank you, everyone. That's all we had for today. So these were the resources that we used for this demo. And moving ahead, so we have further more sessions.
So I guess we just got a couple of questions around the session. So the first one is, I guess, can you explain any difference between cloud and on-prem test manager? So we have not used the on-prem test manager as of now, but definitely since this is also available for on-premise version, which is a part of test suite. So I guess you can follow the documentation which is available on UiPath docs. There you might find some differences, if any. Right. So the next question that we have is, in which session you will cover the establishing connection to SAP to show SAP heat map, right? So this session will happen, I guess, maybe somewhere around in October, where we will show you how to establish a connection with your SAP instance with test manager, a test manager project, and how the heat map works. So you will soon see a session posted on the event page under Delhi NCR. And yes, SAP recording, this session's link will be shared. It will be available on the same page where you registered for this event, and you can have a look at it maybe in a day or two. It will be available. All right. And feel free to register for the upcoming sessions. So the next session that we have is on the solution accelerators for SAP. So this session is scheduled to happen tomorrow. Feel free to register yourself for this session, and I'm just pasting the link to the next session on the group chat. Feel free to register if you have not already registered for this session. And then we also have an in-person meetup scheduled to happen on 21st of September, which is on Saturday. Feel free to register yourself if you are in Delhi NCR region. So this in-person meetup will be happening at the Silicon Partners office in Noida location. You can register yourself on the same events page. I'll also share the link to directly access all the sessions around SAP automation. And this also includes the link to in-person event. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining this session once again. And feel free to join the dedicated UiPath Delhi NCR Meetup WhatsApp group, where we discuss about the upcoming events and any discussion around UiPath and the in-person meetups. I hope you're liking this series, and we'll have two more webinars coming up and one in-person meetup at the last of the session, where we will be providing you exclusive temporary access to do some hands-on exercises during in-person meetup.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.